I'm ready, baby. I hope you're ready. It's time to talk Syracuse basketball. Manchild here, Boy Green. I think will be joining us here momentarily, but I won't wait any longer to bring in our illustrious guest who speaks to us every week now on all things Syracuse basketball. From inside the Loud House, the one, the only, Mr. Neil Adler. How are you, sir?
Dude, you're like your intro for me is way too nice. Come on. I'm like small potatoes. But happy Friday, brother. Happy Friday. Hope you shoveled yourself out from last weekend. Looks like we got more snow here.
We shoveled ourselves back out at the beginning of this week, my friend.
We're supposed to get, I'm here in the DMV. We're supposed to get upwards of a foot and Jim.
Wow.
As we talk about random stuff that has nothing to do with Syracuse basketball. And by the way, as always, thanks for having me on, folks. Please subscribe to this wonderful show.
Thank you.
I went to Syracuse and they get rid of the snow like in 5 minutes. But in the DMV, the Baltimore, DC corridor, if they get, half an inch, they close down the entire area for at least 2 or 3 days. If we get a foot, I might not walk outside my house for at least a month. So that's okay. I'll just sit inside and it'll be fine. And I'll try and shovel the driveway, and it'll be a disaster. I'll rip my pants because I'll fall a couple of times. But, life is
Don't
good.
you have your snowshoes and everything from up here in central New York when you're living up here? You just throw those on, and then you just walk over the snow, and everyone's looking at you like you're some kind of crazy mountain ranger, man.
Oh, man, child. I graduated from Syracuse in 2000. They're a little small on me now. I've gained some weight.
Come on. Well, you can stick it right, but put the cork right back in that bottle, Neil. Right back in that bottle. Yeah, we're expecting 12 to 18
from
Sunday to Monday up here.
Yeah, that's what it's looking like here.
At the moment. Yeah. And to be honest with you, it's just that'll shut us down for a day, or a half a day. There may not be school on Monday, and I think by Tuesday I'll be back. In business. As a matter of fact,
okay. So now I got to ask you a question again. Yeah. I'm sorry we're off topic, but whatever. Because you've obviously been up in that area for a long time, and you teach there and stuff. So I was at Syracuse from '96 to 2000. I did not, unless I'm forgetting, I did not miss one day of school for snow-related stuff. Yeah, right. There was like a derecho one year, like a quasi mini tornado that caused some damage, and I feel like I missed a day of class for that. Not one day of over the years, have they shut down school? Colleges. I feel like it doesn't happen a lot.
It's not often. It's not often.
Yeah,
no, it's not. But it's the time that it happens typically, Neil, is when you have one of these overnighters that spills into the next day. And that's, at least at this point, we're still several days away from it. Yeah. But at this point, that's the forecast, that Sunday night evening into Monday morning, and maybe, kind of calming down by Monday at noon. You can't clean up the snow. Our guys are unbelievable.
It doesn't melt. There's ice.
Snow, salting the roads. You can't clean it up until it's done. And then give them 12 hours, man, and I'll give you the world, okay? They will clear it out in 12 hours. But you have to have the time to do it. And while it's falling, that isn't really the time to do it. That's just trying to kind of patch it together a little bit. So once it's done, then they do their business, unlike in other places where they're going to absolutely go nuts this week. But no, Syracusans in central New York and this whole area knows how to move snow. And it is very rare. But I do think, based on if that timetable falls into place, there'll be a lot of things closed on Monday, including perhaps Syracuse University, including SUNY Oswego, where I teach.
Sure.
I think there's a good chance, but we'll see. You never know. I'm prepared. I got my snow tires. I'm ready to go, baby. I'll have to put the chains on
before we talk hoops. If you get a snow day early next week, can you and Boy Green go outside and have like a snow fight and make a snow angel and videotape it all and send it to me, and we can talk about it next? Because I just want to feel the Syracuse snow and love, because here I don't have anyone to hang out with and do snow angels with. So
okay, fair enough. We'll save some snow for you to do some snow.
Thank you. I love you, buddy. I got
to go out today and get some gas for the blower, man. I've been using the blower so much this season already. I got to go actually refill my gas, get myself ready. All right. Anyway,
I know we're not even in February yet. Oh my gosh.
Running out, all the bread and the water and everything. You're like, come on, dudes, relax. Okay, it's just another snowstorm. Happens all the time here in central New York.
Pick up that toilet paper, buddy.
Speaking of storms, there's a storm brewing underneath AMA Wireless, and it's not the kind of storm that we often enjoy talking about, both as alum of this lovely school called Syracuse University. Certainly, there is a little bit of rooting interest there, I say, in both of our blood, having been at the school and having rooted for this basketball team under the guidance of Jim Boeheim for so many years. I knew this was going to be a tough task for Adrian Autry. It always is, Neil, when you come in after a legend. I know Boeheim was fading a little late, but people
still
have the recollections and the memories. He built the program. He turned it into a national powerhouse.
Absolutely.
He won a national championship, as we know, in 2003. It's just all those layers. And now you come in as the new guy, and the expectations are, hey, make some changes, do it differently, and do it as well, if not better, than the prior guy. Well, that isn't happening. Syracuse has now lost a couple of games in a row, one to not so great Boston College team on the road, one that a lot of people thought they had to get. They coupled it up now with a heartbreaking loss to Virginia Tech. And here we go. We've got a mediocrity here in a year that a lot of people who watch this program believe that Adrian Autry has to get them back to the tournament, or his job might be in jeopardy. Is his job in jeopardy, Neil? Let's talk about how precarious a slope, how slippery a slope is he currently on in your mind?
I hate this story. Yeah, I mean, first of all, Jim, trying to replace Jim Boeheim. I mean, yes, his last 2 years, he was a combined 33 and 32. Frankly, since they moved to the ACC, they had their first year, they were really good in the ACC. And then after that, they weren't real good in the ACC. They didn't have great regular seasons. They had a few runs in the big dance, which Jim Boeheim would always say is the most important thing. So that kind of masked it. And they had other factors, the sanctions and Hopkins leaving and all this other stuff. And so for Autry to come in, and he won 20 games his first year, which I thought was pretty good. And then last year was a disaster. And part of that, I think, was NIL stuff and the portal and everything. It's like a couple of games ago when they're on that three, they lose to Clemson, but then they win 3 straight against not so great teams. But, you feel like, okay, fine. They've won 3 in a row and they've got BC. They should take care of that. And then they start to play the tougher teams like Virginia Tech and Miami, et cetera. But, maybe they found something with Donnie back. Yeah, losing that game to BC was brutal. Virginia Tech could be a tournament team. Absolutely. The cries or the lamenting from the fan base and people wanting Autry let go right now are just getting louder and louder, and it stinks. And I frankly don't envision him getting fired in the middle of the season. I don't want that. Let it play out. I mean, I guess unless they lose like their next 10 games in a row. I mean, it's just they're 12-7. They need to go on a really good run, I think, to have any shot at getting into the NCAA tournament. Right. Conversation for an at-large team. Certainly if they won the ACC tournament, that's one thing. But let's be honest, they've never won more than one game in the ACC tournament. So I don't know, buddy. Like, they got to beat Miami. Every game's a must win. They're not going to win every game. They got to go to Duke, Louisville. They got to go to Virginia. But it's not a good situation. And, some of it's certainly on Autry, whether it's, rotations or, coaching decisions, or why didn't you foul BC when you're up 3 at the end of that game, stuff like that. But other stuff isn't necessarily like, is it directly his fault if they're, missing free throws, or, the free throw disparity is super large, or they're, it's like they take care of the ball well in one half, and then the other half they cough it up and there's no ball movement on offense. There's no assists. It's just kind of stagnant. But, kind of get back to your original question. I think it's a really icky time. I don't wish this. Autry was at Syracuse 2 years before me. I overlap with Alan Griffin. I root for this staff. We have to be honest about it as members of the quasi members of the media, or whatever we're called. But yeah, it's not a good situation. And, as I do stuff on Inside the Loud House, it's like there's more and more people that are just like, all their comments are just fire Autry, fire Autry, fire Autry. It doesn't matter. They win a game, they lose, and it's just negative city. And it's a shame, because they really could have had these last 2 games and been at 14-5 instead of 12-7. And that doesn't mean they're going to get in the tournament, but you feel a little bit better about things, and there's more momentum. And you got Miami on Saturday, and there's going to be, I believe, a lot of football recruits in the house. I think it's one of the football team's junior days. So they're 12-7. It's not awful, but it's not good. Their net is 75, and they gotta get moving. But I don't personally. And again, unless they completely implode, and I think they have too much talent to completely implode, I do not see Adrian Autry getting fired in the middle of the season.
No.
Do I think he needs to make the NCAA tournament to keep his job? I think I'm leaning that way, but it's like, ones are like they're the last team out, and then they go to the NT, and then they go win the NIT, and they end up with 24 or 25 wins, but they won the NIT, but they didn't get in the NCAA tournament. They're the last team out, and it's all Joe Lunardi's fault. I say that in jest because I love Joe. But, like, I don't know. It's everyone wants – not everyone. a lot of people want a clean slate, and a new head coach that is outside the Boeheim family tree. And I get all that too. But is it going to be that much better? I mean, there's so many other factors with rev share and NIL and the portal and all this stuff. It's like, it stinks. It's a bad situation. But I don't see him. I don't see what, I mean, I'm sure Wildhack is getting frustrated too, and especially after the football team had a rough year. But, I feel like we're going to see this play out through the rest of the season.
What I was going to say is a couple of things here. Number one, we're very spoiled here in Central.
Yeah, we are. We are.
Because to have the kind of stability that we had for 40 plus years with a singular coach,
one losing season,
right. And almost had none. I mean, it took to the very end to even get to that losing season, Yeah. So, I mean, it's just unheard of. I mean, we don't have to think back very hard because we just documented it in one simple sentence, right? I can't remember a time in Syracuse basketball history where we were literally working game to game to discuss the fate of the guy who's leading the program. Like, that's what it feels like right now, Neil, is they have to win tomorrow. You just said it. And then they got to win the next. And to get on the bubble, they got to do this. And, everything's just measured by the next little incremental thing. Not the season, not the resume over the, 3 years now for Autry?
Yeah.
Not that. No, tomorrow, today, this moment, and this is the new world order that we live in.
Yeah. What have you done for me right now?
It used to be the media covering it, and maybe you'd have the caustic columnist. Maybe it was my old partner, Bud Poliquin, or the curmudgeon over there. I call him a curmudgeon. I'm just joking. Bob Snyder, okay? Writing an acerbic column about, how Boeheim's not as effective or Boeheim's losing his touch or something like that. Nowadays, the voices are the people in the social media world.
Yeah.
And they might even necessarily be your fans. They're just people. We don't know who they are. They're the great unidentified, but they're like, lop his head off, get him out of here every single moment. And the noise starts to get loud, Neil, and we can't hide ourselves from it. It's just a crazy new world that we're in. So we don't get that distance anymore. We get this hammer that's constantly pounding away.
Yeah. And, and it's easy to sit behind a keyboard anonymously and do all that. And I get all that. There's still fans that, I'm still, hoping that things, it's just part of it is to me, Jim, is that it's not just like that, some people weren't happy when Autry was brought in, as the replacement because they wanted someone outside because Boeheim had been there for so long and done so much. But again, they weren't that good the last couple of years. They haven't made the tournament since 21, and that was a COVID year. But, the whole tenure in the ACC has been kind of a struggle, save for some big dance runs. But right before that, from 09 to 14, like, they were insane. They were 30-1 in that one regular season. They went to a Final Four. They could have easily won a chip in 10 or 12. Maybe not 12 because you had Kentucky, but in 10, if Anawaku didn't go down, they lose to, like, they were the best team in the country that year. So it's like, you're not that far removed from that kind of like golden era, one of the golden eras. But it's just been like and, so some people are frustrated that Autry got the job. And certainly last year was a disaster. And it's like not looking good now. But it's like they're so close, Jim. They're so close. Even without Freeman, they could have beat Houston at a neutral site. You make a few free throws. To me, the Hofstra game is different,
Yeah, let me go back and forth with you a little bit, Neil. It feels to me like the roster's different this year. Agree or disagree? Let's debate that one.
In terms of like being a better roster? Absolutely. Yes. That's, I think, the most frustrating part is the pieces are there and it's just inconsistency. And it's like they should have a better record. Whether you think Autry's the right guy for the job, they should just have a better record from my perspective. Yes, it's a better roster. I think it's better. I think it's Autry's best roster out of all 3 years.
Here's a double-edged sword kind of question, and I know what I'm doing here is, I'm placing, a historical coach in the seat here for a minute, but it's the analogy I have to play with. Do you think if Rick Pitino was coaching this team, some of what's been going on over the course of, let's just say this season, let's just leave it at this season, would be going on in terms of Syracuse's misgivings at times. Their inability to close out a game that they led by 7 points on the road against BC, not a very good team, and end up losing in overtime, or 25 free throws in the second half and all the points off the turnovers. We can get into all the numbers against Virginia Tech and what was Syracuse's demise here in these last two little games. Do you think that someone, because we all know Pitino is a tremendous coach. You may not have to like him as a personality or a person, and he's done some nefarious things away from the court. But Absolutely. That aside, if Rick Pitino was sitting in the seat, would the seat be as hot as it is right now for Adrian Autry?
I think if you had a Rick Pitino or a Calipari or a Tom Izzo, these veteran seasoned coaches that have way more experience than Adrian Autry, yes, I think they'd have a better record. But it's his third year. He wasn't even a head coach prior to this. And I'll still always say that, you know what, maybe ultimately for Red Autry, who I think is a nice guy, although he threw an F-bomb out the other day at his press conference, maybe he needs to get more fired up, Mm-hmm. I'm still not convinced. Maybe the best thing for him is to be an associate head coach, whether it's at Syracuse or another really, a high major school, and be a lead recruiter, because that dude can recruit. And I'm not saying he's a bad coach, but maybe this is just too big of a job as his first job as a head coach.
As his first job.
If he had come in and been a head coach,
right?
Yeah,
you have to learn somewhere, right? You have to learn somewhere how to deal with the heat, how these little tiny things can make a difference at this level, because so many of the teams are so close. All right, and then you just one or two little changes and bing, it's a win.
And then people will bring up like John Shire, because I'll say, oh well, Mike Krzyzewski stunk his first couple years of Duke and almost got fired. And then people will slam me and be like, well, kind of a different era, Neil. And they're right. But then we talk about John Shire. John Shire has been really successful his first couple of years at Duke. I don't know if it's his fourth year, third year. He's been to a Final Four. He's been to Elite Eight. But you can't, and there's no pun intended, or maybe there is a pun. That's an apples to orange comparison. Duke just recruits at a different level, both at the high school level. I don't know. I assume they probably have more money.
I've always said they're selectors, not recruiters, Neil. They're selectors, not recruiters.
Right. I mean, yeah, because everyone wants to go there. And Syracuse is still a national brand, but they're not as relevant now. So it's harder. But they've gotten good players. Donnie Freeman was number 6 in his class. Kyan and Sadiq were top 30 guys. Nathan George was arguably the best point guard in the ACC last year.
Yep.
William Kyle III has been great. He's on
better than I think any of us could have thought, right?
Betsy's a former top 50 guy. Like I could go on and on and on.
Like I said, I agree with you. I think the talent is there. Hey, let me bring Boy Green in. He wants to get in on this discussion as well. What's up, BG? How you doing?
Hey, thank you for bringing me off the bench, Coach. I appreciate it. Utilizing the bench a little bit more than some people in our lives, so I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Sixth man of the year is here, reporting for duty on the hardwood.
You're the next Dion. You're the next Dion Waiters.
The seat's a little warm.
That is a great place to be in, Neil Adler. I'll take a Dion Waiters top 5 pick of the NBA draft and 6th man of the year. Yeah, damn straight, boys. Oh boy, I came in the middle of some heat on old.
How are you doing, Paul? How are your little ones?
Great. Let's see. We're 2 days away from my daughter turning 4, which is crazy. That's an unbelievable. It just hits you every once in a while when you're just spending time with your kids. You just like go, man, oh my God, look at like just how they're reacting to the world for the first time. And I've already been through it, so it's great.
And Neil and I know this, both being dads.
Sure,
you will when that child is 10, when that child is 15, when that child is 20. Right? Well, like my son, who yesterday turned 24, you are going to go, oh yeah. That means I'm 24 years older.
Yeah, that's the
than
real
when
problem.
I had him a couple of days ago. Right?
Yeah, I
kids show our mortality. When you have kids and they're aging, you realize I've just gotten 5 years older. I've just gotten 10 years older. I've just gotten 15 years older. It's a little freaky. I think you're starting to feel that pinch a little bit, Paul, although you have 2 little ones.
It is. And this isn't the same, but so my parents just celebrated their 33rd anniversary.
I saw that on Facebook. You had a nice little poignant note about that.
Thank you. And I thought that was great. And then I just realized I'm 32 and I turned 33 in a couple of months, and that math is just sort of weird. So what sort of happened there? I don't know.
You'll have to get the scoop from them on that. But I don't really want to hear any crying from you, because I'm getting close to 50 now. So, and Jim, he might be 85, but look how good he looks. So like,
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. He's got that going for him.
Jump in on the conversation here. We'll throw something at Neil, either on Autry or Syracuse related. Let's keep it rolling.
Yeah. I because we're just sort of in the Autry waters here. Have you guys, this seems sort of, morbid to talk about, I suppose. Yes. I'm not sure if this was dabbled in already, but have you guys talked about potential if he's not the guy?
We did not.
Who could be the guy? A guy that I know I've worked. Well, I know because I am me. That's a weird way to say it, but I've worked in person with this individual one-on-one before, doing different projects. Lurch has worked, I'm pretty sure, with this individual. He has there is an electricity when this man walks into the room that I'm like, wow, his personality, his energy, everything about him, just like you have to be on when he's in the room. And that's
this is the greatest.
And bringing Mike Hopkins back. Because, like I said, one of my old jobs at ESPN,
he wants him.
I do. I love Hop, and I thought he was going to be the guy.
What's not to love? What's not to?
Yeah.
I don't know, brother.
Are you going to kill it? Are you going to destroy it?
No, it's not that I'm killing it. It's not that I'm killing it, Paul. Hey,
okay.
I love you. Here's a big hug. I love you.
Okay, yeah. Nice.
It's not that I would love that, but I just feel like if it doesn't work out with Autry, there's going to be so much clamoring from the fan base to have someone out, just a clean slate.
Oh, I see.
Outside the tree. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. See, again, and Jim and I were talking about this. It's like, I would question some of Autry's decisions, but I would also say they've lost some games that maybe they could have won, and maybe it wasn't all his fault. And he's replacing a legend. And they didn't make the tournament for multiple years even before he came on. So there was already that pressure. And they've stunk in the ACC since their first year, pretty much, other than the 16 Final Four run and the 2 16s and 18 and 21. So it's just the program itself. But Hopkins has significant prior head coaching experience. I just think that's way different than Autry.
100%. 100%.
Way different.
And that's what makes me. So again, the advocation, that's a made-up word, for someone that's outside the tree. Me and Lurch talked about that. Rewind however many years ago when Boeheim decided to walk away and then Autry stepped in the middle of that decision before they announced Autry being the guy. Me and Manchild talked on the radio. I said, go outside the tree, look around. At a bare minimum, if you look around and you come back to the tree, say, you know what, we still want this. I would respect it if you looked, but they didn't. So they went in. So the pitch to go outside totally makes sense to me. But that's the thing that makes me feel different about Hop than it would have been for Autry, is that Mike Hopkins, folks, is a 2-time coach of the year in the Pac-12. God rest its soul. Okay. Yeah. So he has significant experience in the role and success in that role. And again, maybe we just got it wrong, and the greater we, that you selected the wrong assistant. And again, I understand there's a lot of stuff with Hop and go to see his dad and go to the West Coast and the timing. Boeheim wanted to stick around. So we couldn't just force the assist to Hop before it was time because of all this extra hoopla that was going on. Yeah. But it's never too late. It's never too late to say, you know what, let's go back. So again, if they go outside the tree completely, I'm not going to be upset at that at all. But if you're going to go to the tree and say, wait, was there a fallen peach back there somewhere, and dust it off and go, actually, this was what we were looking for. The remote falls between the cushions. Well, I guess I got to use something else now. Oh, wait, there was that remote between the cushions. That's Mike Hopkins, baby. He's the remote between the cushions.
I love your analogies. Some people talk about GMAC, but I don't. And I feel like I haven't checked Sienna's record lately, but I mean I know he's kind of moving that program in a positive direction. But Hopkins coached at a high major, and yes, they had a couple of not so great seasons. But like you said, I think 2 out of his first 3 years, or maybe it was his first 2 years in a row.
It was the first 2 years, yeah.
Yeah, he was literally the coach of the year in that conference.
Right.
So I don't know.
If you stay in the tree, I'm with Paul. It has to be Hopkins and not Jerry. They had the chance to hire Jerry instead of Autry, and they obviously made the choice to go with Autry.
Because he's got more experience.
Back in the bottle. He was there more longer. I understand the semantics of it. I honestly think if it were up to Jim Boeheim, if I ever got him alone on a mountain to make that decision, I think he would have gone the other way. That's what I personally think. His support of Jerry over the years just seems so overwhelming that he almost, just felt like he was just always in his corner, not only as a player, but even when he made him an assistant. I don't know. I'd have to get Jim on a mountain alone, and
please do that. Yeah, can you guys?
That'd be a great conversation to have. But he's not gonna poo-poo on any of his former assistants.
But I agree with you, Neil, though, that Sienna, with all due respect, and again, if you say that phrase, you can then say whatever you want. Dems the rules. It's Sienna. That's underwhelming. Man. It's freaking Sienna. You freaking kidding me? We're going from the tree, and then he went to Sienna to build up their freaking Washington.
Yeah, Hop was at Washington. Now, for people that haven't been following Mike Hopkins' career, by the way, he went to the Phoenix Suns, I think, last year.
In the NBA, and 2024,
And now he's like a player development guy for the Pelicans, for the New
Orleans Pelicans. In the NBA,
he is right now. And obviously, I think home for him, I don't know now with a job with the Pelicans, is, a second pad or something, but home for him, I think, is still out in California. I think San Mateo is I think where
I would assume so. I think that's where his well, I know that's where he's from originally, and he's got
probably where his kids are still going to school and so on and so forth.
So Sienna,
again, you're asking this guy to transplant himself back to the East Coast, right? Him and his wife and the kids even want to do that all over again.
Who knows? I have no clue.
But give us the update on Sienna, Neil.
Sienna's 14-7, so they're having a nice little season.
All right,
they're having a nice little season. I really feel like, this is going to be the dominant story after every freaking game, which is super annoying. And it's tough. I feel for Red. If he's not the right guy for the job, so be it. It's a big business. But, that's tough if that's like the noise every single game, because they still have 12 games left. And they got to win a lot of them to even come close to being on the bubble. And again, losing those past two really stung. But, you play the hypotheticals, the what ifs, and it is what it is. But listen, tomorrow it's Miami, and it was interesting that Donnie Freeman blamed himself for the last two losses, and he wasn't great against Virginia Tech, but I mean, this is a team thing. When they win, it's a team thing, and when they lose, it's a team thing. So I mean, I respect him saying that, but
you got to get on the same page. Got to get on the same page. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Box Drop Syracuse, the mattress and sofa outlet where you can save 30 to 70% on your next mattress. You want to do that for sure? Go see our friends at Box Drop. It's mattress and sofa by appointment. You get a specialty appointment. You work with Paul, the owner, directly, and that's how he saves you all that money. Let's just take 30 seconds, learn a little bit more about how you can do that with our friends at Box Drop. Then we're back with more SU basketball insider Neil Adler from Inside the Loud House. Be right back. When you don't want to pay full price for... Considering that we sleep nearly 1/3 of our lives, buying the right mattress is essential. At Box Drop Syracuse Mattress and Sofa Outlet, you'll get a unique experience, one that saves you 30 to 70% off retail prices on top-of-the-line mattresses like Sapphire Sleep. At Box Drop, you'll schedule a mattress fitting appointment and get one-on-one service directly with Paul, the owner. No middleman. Family-owned, huge savings, no-pressure sales designed to save you time and money. And now Box Drop Syracuse has sectional sofas and love seats as well, with prices designed to fit your budget. Box Drop Syracuse Mattress and Sofas. Set up your appointment today at boxdropsyracuse.com. All right, we are back with Neil Adler inside the Loud House, our SU insider. Folks, don't forget the Man-Child Show with Boy Green Digital at MC Show Digital, our handle on YouTube. Subscribe today. Become a member of our growing family. We're coming closing in on number 500. We'll ring a bell and have a little party, and we get to do all kinds of cool things at 500. Neil, we get to create a little VIP club. That's going to be awesome. We'll be introducing some introductory merch. Neil, I think you're in line to maybe perhaps get a little gift in the mail, dare I say, from your friends here at the Man-Child Show.
I just want to know, when you guys get to 500, are you guys going to ring the bell at the New York Stock Exchange? Is that take your little company public, little IPO action?
The possibilities are limitless.
That our many viewers and listeners over the years, and going all the way back to our radio days, they get a chance to kind of support the program a little bit, help give us some resources essentially to do really cool things on the air. And so we got a whole plan, Paul and I, that we've been talking about for months, and we've put together, and we're really, really chomping at the bit to get to 500 and to start to put some of these plans that we've had for a couple of months into action and show people, take it out for a spin, what this is like, what this automobile can be like. So we're really looking forward to it. So listen, we're less than 20 subscribers away. You people who are watching this video right now can get us just right to that number, perhaps. Again, there it is, youtube.com/@MC Show Digital. It's free to subscribe. So just jump on board and then you find out when we're putting out videos and so on and so forth. It's a lot of fun. All right, Neil Adler, let's continue talking SU basketball here. So it is a 2-game losing streak. A difficult one, as I mentioned, in BC, where they had a 7-point lead in the second half late and let it slip away. And then this one the other night against Virginia Tech, 25 free throws for Virginia Tech in the second half, and they made most of them. And the turnovers, I think it was 16-2 points off turnovers in the second half alone. So 25 free throws in the second half, 16-2 points off turnovers in the second half. That's how you lose a lead and how you lose a game. And by the way, they only lost by a bucket, I think, right, in that game. So let's walk us through it, man. What is going on with the Syracuse basketball team? What's wrong?
I think the main thing is just a lack of consistency from half to half. It's like they'll have one good half and then they'll just have one half where it's just, and they're not the only team that's like that. So, it's against Virginia Tech. They shot well from the free throw line. Obviously, there was a huge free throw disparity in terms of makes, but Syracuse shot well. They also shot well. I think they were like 10 of 23 from deep. So that, they've been shooting better from both the free throw line and from beyond the arc. But it's just, in games where they win, it's in large part, especially if their half-court offense isn't doing that well, which is up and down, it's because they are actually forcing turnovers and getting points out in transition, fast break points off turnovers, and having sizable leads in those departments. But there's been a couple games lately. I don't remember exactly the BC one. I could look that up. But yeah, a 16-2, trailing in points off turnovers, that's a real problem. And so and then on offense, it's like one half they'll have like 9 or 10 assists, and then the next half they'll have like 3 or 4 or 5. They're just, I don't know, is it like fatigue? But it's like the movement, the ball movement, the player movement without the ball, it'll like be good, and then it's like then you resort to this ISO ball nonsense, which drives me absolutely nuts and a lot of other fans nuts. So it's like putting it all together on both ends of the court for both halves. And I know that sounds simple, but it's really just consistency's sake. And it's just it's like they're right there, but they're not right there, and it's like Virginia Tech's a pretty good team. I think they're 15-5 now, but Syracuse should have won that game. They were up by 10 at one point. They're up by 7 at the half. Then Virginia Tech, got out to its lead, and Syracuse made a late comeback. But part of that, they I think they had a 3 to tie it, and Nate Kings missed it. It was a good look. But then you give up a rebound on a free throw. Was that Donnie? I think that was Donnie. And he even acknowledged it. And I'm not blaming the game on Donnie, just like against BC when he missed the front end of 1-and-1, that could have probably iced the game. But it's not all Donnie's fault, even though he said it was all his fault. But it's just little stuff like that. I mean, you can't give up a free throw to the opponent, like a rebound. It's just, it's ridiculous. And it's just those little things add up to big things. And if they don't get it all together, they're just gonna have this like every single game, and it's just it's frustrating to see. So I don't have the magic formula, but it's like they're right there in all these games, and then they should do some boneheaded plays, and it's just
Okay, Neil, this fan base, they're a turkey, and I want you to grab a temperature gauge. And I want you to shove it into the turkey. And I want you to tell me, what is this fan base? Is this fan base angry? Is this fan base sad? Or God forbid, is this fan base indifferent? Because this Syracuse basketball program has been down for some time. And now there's almost here we go again. They're losing. And then almost like, hey, when's football season? And then when football season's down, we're like, when's basketball season? And we just keep this vicious cycle going. So again, you tell me, Neil, you're the one checking this turkey. We got to make sure this turkey is cooked right. Sad, angry, indifferent. What is your gauge of the Syracuse basketball fan base?
I mean, there's certainly some folks that are indifferent. Well, they'll make comment, I'm done. I'm focused on lacrosse now. But I still think most of the fans are not indifferent because they're still watching the games and commenting and all that. I think I'm sad. I think most people are frustrated, angry, and fed up. Because again, this is, as Jim was talking, I mean, this is a storied program that is, I think, 6th or 7th in all-time wins in the history of the sport, with 1 title, and Boeheim took 46 to 47 seasons, winning seasons, 35 tournaments, 20 Sweet 16s, 5 Final Fours, usually contending for a conference title back in the Big East days, contending for a top 4 seed in the tournament. And now, they've had a couple tournament runs, but 2021 was the last one, and that was a short, abbreviated season because of COVID. And it's been downhill ever since. And one other thing to keep in mind, not to be negative Nancy, but we're gonna have a new chancellor coming in. What does that mean for John Wildhack's job? So, I'm not suggesting that, although some fans definitely have some choice words for John Wildhack, although look, he hired Fran Brown, and I know this last season was a disaster, but I think they're still on an upward trajectory, assuming their quarterback's healthy. But with the basketball program, it's just people are fed up. They really are. They think that this team this year, last year, throw that away because that was just a disaster for multiple. But this year, with this roster on paper, they should not be 12-7. And, a lot of people say that it's Autry and the other coaches and decision thing. And maybe that's some of it, but look, they're still shooting 62% from the free throw line. Their defense is better. Their offense is up and down. They commit a ton of turnovers. Is all that stuff Autry's fault? I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But the temperature right now is definitely frustration and some anger, I'd say.
Temperature is hot. The turkey is basting, Boy Green.
Okay, thank you.
I still don't. And Jim and I were talking about this before you came on, Paul.
Sure.
Unless they lose the next 10 games, I don't see Autry getting let go in the middle of the season. Could you see that happening, Paul? Unless they completely imploded. If they're middling or whatever, that's one thing. But assuming they're winning some games, I just don't see it in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
What would that
be an off-season decision?
Right.
I feel pretty confident.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at, because then you ask the question why. What would be the reason? What's the pro to just getting a head start on the search? If you truly, we all know what really goes on. If the people that are making this key decision don't think Autry's the guy, they're going to be having their quiet at the bar conversations with all the important people they need to set up. I don't think they literally need the heads up of time to let the rest of the world know that this job is open. So I don't see the benefit. Again, to me, normally in these kinds of situations, the only time that I am normally a proponent of an in-season firing is something scandalous, something that there's no oh my goodness, we have to act. This is unbelievable. The locker room was lost in the sauce or whatever this is. In those particular situations, I can understand in-season change. Or we've seen it a few times over the last couple of years where a beginning season change. It's a 10 or 15. That's a larger sample in college basketball than it is in the NBA. But you see some sort of immediate change where you sort of see that regret, where it could have been an offseason move, and then they get into the season. They're like, these are all the same signs as on the offseason. Quick trigger pull. We have someone on the staff that we want to sort of evaluate for the length of the season. We have a great in-house candidate that we want to test trial run to see the rest of the season, how they perform. I don't see that in this group because to the same thing. After the criticisms of the Autry hire from the get-go, I doubt that they're going to, if they once again go in-house and there's someone else on the staff, they're like, okay, Autry is the guy, but this random assistant was the guy, with all due respect, that would shock me. So no, I think this, to me, my gut tells me this is an off-season decision.
And I'll jump in on this. Let me just make this additional comment, because as you guys were discussing that, I was thinking a little bit, why would they do it in season? Why would they do it before the season ends if it went horribly wrong, as we were talking about, Neil? They just got on a terrible losing streak. It became completely obvious. Not only are they not making the NCAA tournament, they're not even playing in the NIT. This team is toast. If it got to that level, the one advantage actually of making the decision before the season ends would be the fact that, as we talked at the very beginning of this conversation, Neil, we both believe there is a good amount of talent on this roster.
Yeah.
Now, Donnie Freeman's probably sending it packing, but most of the others, I would think, are going to stay. All right. You need stability to stay. You know how it is today. You change coaches. It's bye-bye roster. Everybody's in the portal and bye-bye.
Yeah.
So, but if you have some assurance to those players about who your next guy is, and you're on that announcement earlier, you've already making that transition before it gets to decision time for the players. Okay. Maybe think of prospective coaches out there who are looking for a gig who go, ooh, that's a tasty little roster. I mean, a lot of people said very recently with the John Harbaugh hire by the Giants, he took a look at that roster and saw, I might have a franchise quarterback. I got some pretty good defensive players. Hey, I got the foundation of something. I think you look at Syracuse from afar and you say the same thing. Win, lose, or draw. We believe, and I think it is the prevailing win, that there is a good amount of talent. You don't want that talent walking out the door.
Absolutely.
Okay? You want that talent staying, and you want to enhance and add to that. And certainly an incoming coach would want to know, oh, I'm already starting with a good core of guys. All I got to do is do a little portal work here and a couple of recruits, and bingo, man, I got my starting five, and I'm rocking and rolling, man. I'm taking Syracuse right back to 20-plus wins. So I do think in today's world, there is a case to be made about moving earlier if you're going to move to create stability, believe it or not. Usually that means instability, to create stability in your program. Go ahead and comment on that.
Yeah, I mean, the two things there that I'd mentioned is, and they just, I believe, changed this, where the transfer portal window in college basketball, I think, was reduced from 30 to 15 days, and now it's going to happen right after the championship games of the tournaments, which I think is better than, but I mean, you're right, that would be coming up. I guess my only kind of, I totally hear what you're saying, Jim, but like my counterpoint to you all is, if Autry was let go, how many of the guys on this current roster, and assuming the rest of the staff was too, how many of the guys on the current roster, we'd have to see who the new head coach is and his staff is, but how many of them would want to stay? I mean, because like Autry's a great recruiter, and a lot of the guys on this roster are very close with him. So would they be willing to play for a different coach? I don't know. Or could we see everyone leave? I guess it's possible, but there's points to be made on both sides. I wish I had I'm not smart enough.
What I'm saying is you don't want a bloodletting. So what's the best way to avoid it if you have to do that? If you have to make that move, what's the best way to stabilize the program rather than just let it crumble like a house of cards, let the new coach come in and build it from zero? That's
I really feel like we've all kind of come to an agreement on, unless it just becomes an utter disaster, in the near term, they're going to let them ride it out, and then we'll see. But if they're like kind of middling and they're going to be 18-13 and not make the, I mean, it's kind of like they're lame duck staff. It stinks.
Yeah, Neil, last one here, and this wasn't on my list, but it was an observation of your body language in the middle of something Jim Lurch was saying, and that piqued my curiosity. Lurch said, well, Donnie Freeman is the one going, but the rest of the group is probably going to stay. And I saw your head cock sideways like, So I'll give you an opportunity to expand on the body language. Is there more turnover potentially here that could occur that,
Oh, well, I mean, Jim,
did I misread that perhaps?
No, you're not. Well, it's like multifaceted. Donnie, you saying Donnie, Jim saying Donnie is going to go. If we're saying he's going to go to the NBA, yes, I assume if he keeps playing the way he's playing and health wise, yes. In terms of the roster, otherwise, I don't necessarily see other guys going because they're going to the NBA. I could see other guys going because guys transfer every year from every school, and also if there is a head coaching change, obviously that could factor in. But yeah, like from a pro perspective, I don't see anyone heading out other than Donnie. But even if they're kind of stable, they stabilize this season and maybe they make the tournament, maybe they don't, but they end the season on a good note and Autry's retained, there's going to be guys that are going to leave. I mean, they could bring back 9 or 10 guys, I believe, depending on what Nate King's, if he is deemed to have more eligibility, but I just don't see them all staying. I mean, because, there's rev share, there's NIL, there's playing time. Syracuse doesn't have a high school commitment, but that's just the way the world works now. So
you can't hold the roster together in college hoops.
I mean, that's tough. I mean, they brought back 2 guys last year, 2 of 13. I mean, so
crazy.
Well, the pieces I would want for sure to return as a Syracuse basketball fan are Kyan Anthony and Sadiq White. Okay, those are my two young core guys. And then whatever other pieces, I know JJ is obviously graduating, so he'll be gone. As I suggest, I think that Donnie Freeman, if he continues on his current path and stays healthy, NBA scouts will be drooling and he'll get drafted and he'll go to the NBA. And then whoever else has eligibility making their decisions, they have some other young big guys, Soiree, right? Maybe
you got Soiree, you got Diawara, Fennel, you got Tyler.
There's some other pieces, some hasn't been played much this year. But so you start with a foundation, but it's those two young foundational guys. It's funny. I'll end with this one. This may be, I think this is whack, but so what? This is this is the new world order, right?
It's Friday.
People just jump in and say, well, if not him, then who? Okay, Boy Green asked the question, well, if it's Adrian Autry's out, who's in? Is there any, and I've seen some fans mention this, is there any, do you think, interest in Carmelo Anthony wanting to coach this basketball team? I know. I knew you were going to recoil, and I recoiled when I read it online, but it's a fun question to ponder, isn't it? I mean, it's fun to ponder.
Of course it's also a fun question to say, hey, they're letting all these guys that were drafted in the NBA come back and play in college. So Carmelo's got 3 years left. So yeah, he should just be able to come back. I obviously I'm just.
I don't think he's getting back out there.
No. I don't know. I don't see that. I just don't. I mean, and he's got all these other business ventures. He's an analyst at NBC, I believe. I have no clue. I think it would be amazing. I don't know if you'd be interested. I don't know if Syracuse would be interested from that perspective. It's fun seeing him.
Let me make it a little smaller, okay? Because being a head coach is a big thing. It includes
it's
all of this stuff, including NIL, recruiting, everything. Melo's got a few things going on in his life. I totally get
it. People questioned him being the commencement speaker, the head coach. Good Lord.
What about if there was another coach that came in, could he be,
support staff,
assistant coach, a support staff guy? He's already coming to all the games. I mean, we've never seen him around Syracuse
now.
It's his playing days more than he is now. Heck, he might even be here more than he was around during his playing days. Frankly, I didn't see him in too many of those classes that we were in together. Anyway, thoughts about whether or not he would get involved with the program at a little bit higher level, or a little bit more committed level. Not that he's not committed already to many things, but at that level of working with players day in and day out. Do you think there's any there?
I mean, again, I just don't know if it's a question of everything else he's got going on business wise and a time commitment thing. He is, I believe, the co-general manager of Oak Hill, the school in Virginia where he played at least 1 or 2 years, and you see a lot of that kind of stuff. Or if guys, former alum, standout players get involved from an NIL or, standpoint or whatever as a GM or a coach. I mean, they obviously have Alex Klein. We'll see what happens with this current staff. Yeah, I think it would be cool. Who's the former Syracuse football guy that's on the staff now? It's not Freeney. I'm totally blanking on it. One of the
there's someone I know. I'm going to name a guy. He's not a Syracuse guy. He's a Temple guy. It's Muhammad Wilkerson. He's a former first-round pick. He's part of their staff.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool to see. And I'm curious if Carmelo's involved from an NIL standpoint and fundraising and all that jazz. I truthfully don't know. I'd love to know. In terms of a player development thing, I think it'd be great. It's just a question of, is that I don't think does he want to do it? Does he have the time? Does he have a place in Syracuse? Is he just flying up? I don't know where his home base is. I assume it's probably in New York City, but it'd be cool.
Fun stuff.
I'll take it. I know.
And the fans love to dabble in this crazy stuff. I read that. I was like, Melo, the next coach of Syracuse? Wait a minute. What?
I would go nuts. I mean, I think
it's probably a little piece. Reality, it's far from a realistic thing.
Well, because he doesn't have any coaching experience. That doesn't mean he's not a darn good. He couldn't be a darn good coach. But you know what I'm saying? He hasn't dabbled in that at all, right? So that'd be a big transition.
We know what the headline of the video is. Neil Adler addresses Carmelo Anthony, Syracuse basketball head coach rumors on interview. So there you go.
Awesome.
We've got our headline.
That'll get you some subscribers. There you go.
Nice.
One could make the argument, and I'll make it right now, that his experience, both as a player in college, then a professional basketball player,
USA basketball,
and his involvement in the Olympics and all that kind of stuff as well. Could serve as, I'll make a comparison. I'll just use another Syracuse guy just for argument's sake. Is he not as experienced as Jerry McNamara was when this job was up and Jim Boeheim left. Like, who has more experience? I understand Jerry was an assistant coach for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Anthony spent how many years in the NBA? He spent how many years working with the best
20.
players in the world?
It was 20.
Like,
yeah.
I could make an argument if I wanted to, Neil. I could make an argument. I'd take that guy over there, the one with all those years and is the 10th leading scorer in the NBA. I'll take that guy. You know, so
it's like D-Mac had the coaching experience, but Melo was a player for longer, the professional.
Talk to me about experience, and I'll talk to you about a different kind of experience and say, why the heck not? Right, people love to think outside the box and do crazy things. So, listen, it's all fun, crazy talk. I'm loving talking about this, but, you know, I understand the realities of this situation. Okay, hey, listen, Neil Adler.
If you guys want to have a 2.5 hour chat about this next time, let me know. Because I know Paul likes to have 2.5 hour chats about the Jets, so it's all good.
You won't believe it.
Just wrapped one up.
I will believe it. I was told.
Thank you, Neil. Always good to talk to you, my friend. We'll talk to you again next week.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.